Hi there, welcome to yet another video making of the Garmin 1000 using the Stream Deck and Axes and O's. And I've made a few in the past, and the last one I made, one function I couldn't get working was to have the text behind the buttons greying out when it was disabled, when it wasn't an option we could choose. And I'm very grateful to somebody who put a comment in there showing me how you can do this. And I think his name is Finley C. So very grateful. That has now changed how I think about getting this to work. And I think it's a much simpler method. I'll link to the previous one in the description below so that you can see how I did it with a slider gauge. But this time I'm going to do it in a different way. And I think it's actually much more simple than the slider gauge. But for those who haven't seen it or don't want to put back, let's just sort of get ourselves oriented so that we know what we're talking about. So these buttons here, these soft buttons, change their function depending on where we are. So if I concentrate on these buttons here, this is available to us. If I press that button, it does something. But this one is disabled, and that's what I couldn't get to happen, this greying out of text. If I go into an option, you can see that the text here has changed and also become unavailable to us. And some of them have got these indicators underneath to show whether the option is active, whether it's been chosen or not. Again, if I go into the layout here, you can see that this one here is now available, but not been selected. But if I click on there, the indicator changes here. So they're the things we're going to be doing. We want to make it function as a button, and we want the text to change depending on where we are in the menu system. We want it to grey out when it's not available to us, and we want this indicator to show whether it has been selected or not. And it's all done in the Stream Deck. Now obviously on the Stream Deck you need to have the Lorby Axes and O's plugin put into there, but you also need, from his website, on the downloads page, we're a fair way down, we need this thing called the MSFS G1000 bridge, which is a zip file, and you just download the zip file, extract it and drop it into your community folder. It's really, there's no other installation to do it. It's very simple, and then just fire it up and it works. What it does, it gives us access to basically a number of variables which wouldn't be visible otherwise. This one here reads the string of that current button, whichever button it is, and it could work for the MFD or the PFD, depends on what you put in here. So it works for either of the devices. And this one here will read that string and put that label into the text on the button for us. This one here tells us whether the indicator is present, so if it's a 0 it's not even there, or grey or green. And this one here tells us whether the key is available to us. This is the one that does, is the text white or is it grey? So they're the three variables we're going to be using. And obviously it works with Axes and O's, so if we get Axes and O's involved here as well, let's bring that over off my second monitor. What I've done is I'll get rid of that for a second. I'm going to be using the scripts, not the editor, but I want to be able to insert variables and events, and it's easier to do it from here. So the nice way to do this, the easy way to do this, is to, in the navigation bit, create a folder. I've already got one here for my PFD. I've kind of done this already. So you can put a graphic behind it, and you can put text on it. But the idea behind it is if I press on the button on my actual Stream Deck, it takes me into a folder where I can put more buttons. And the navigation is easy. When I finish with it, I just press the back arrow and we're back out. So what I want to do, so I'm going to concentrate on button number 2 to start with, because button number 1 in its default state, if I click on the back icon here, the default state is there's no text on it, so it's not blindingly obvious what's going on. So let's bring things back to life. So I'm going to put button 2 here. So I would put the buttons across in 2 layers, but I'm going to go button 2 there. And what I want is a multi-gauge in here, and that gives us a number of options. I'm not going to fill in the title. We'll be doing that with a piece of this dynamic text, but we want it to function as a button first of all. That's kind of the key thing. So we need to put an event in here, and what I want to do is I want to use these input events as much as possible. And if we put in an event here, I'm going to narrow it down to the PFD events, and it's one of these Microsoft input events. And what we want is the PFD, and it's a soft key number 2. So if I highlight that, right click, that's now on the clipboard, which means I can Control V, paste it in, and the value is 1, and that's it. So we now submit that, and we should have a working button. So again, if I just bring my cockpit to the front, if I press on that button on my Stream Deck, that worked. It worked as a button. And I need to press this back button here because I haven't got any others defined yet. So we're back where we were. We want to be able to read the text. So we're finished with that. Let's just concentrate on this text definition here. Now, there isn't a text definition yet. We need to define a new text definition. And so click on there, and I'm going to call it label. And I'm not worried about this at the moment. What I am worried about is where do I get the information from? Well, it's going to be one of these local variables. So I'm going to insert a sim variable, and again narrow it down for the PFD. And it's an active local variable. And what I want is the soft key 1, and I want the string version of it. Sorry, soft key 2. It's the second button across that we're doing. So again, right hand click on that, and we're going to drop that into here. So read soft key 2, read the string, and put it there. Now we don't really need to worry about anything else here. So we're just going to save that, and you can see it's automatically picked that up. So that's going fine so far. So let's just check that out. So we'll make sure we've submitted it. You don't actually need to submit it for that bit, because once you've saved it, it's active, it's working. But if I press on that button now, we've now switched to the next layer, and you can see that this one here should be greyed out. But if we actually look at the Stream Deck here, you can see it's still white. So what we really need is to create another text layer, another definition here, and I'm going to call this one disabled. What do I do if it's disabled? So I've clicked on here to add a new text definition. I put in disabled. It's the same piece of text, so I've already got that on my clipboard, so I might as well put that in there. But I want to know, is this version of it visible or not? And that's a local variable, and I want to use another one of these local variables which is still active here, and I want to find out if soft key 2 is enabled. Well, I haven't got a soft key here for 2, but I have got 3. So I can go in and edit that. So if it reads this variable here, if it's 0, I want you to put this new version of the text up here. So the visibility value is it 0? Then put this string up, but down here I want the text color to be grey. If all these are the same, these values, you'll get a grey colour. And the higher the number here, the lighter the grey will be. I'm going for a sort of fairly dramatic dark grey here, so we'll click on OK there. Save that, and you can see that this has now gone grey. We've now changed the colour for that. And if I go back, let's sort of give myself the back button here. Go back a layer so that it should be white. We'll just check that that's happened. Yes, that's bright. If I click on here, we've now got to the disabled version. Whoops. The disabled version of that. So that's working there. And if I go into the next layer down, so if I press on this layout button here, this is where I want to be able to get this indicator to appear. Now, you can use the slider gauge method that I used on the previous video, and if you want to do that, you can continue with that. But I think this is a simpler way of doing that. What you actually need are just two graphics, two PNGs, and they're both exactly the same size. 144 pixels across, 144 pixels down, and then this indicator bar, just a rectangle. In fact, mine's a sort of kind of curved edged rectangle, and about 20 pixels up from the bottom seems to be a good place to put it, as long as they're the same place. So you create one graphic and then you duplicate it and fill that in a different color. It's not that difficult to do. So what we need to do is, we've done the text definition, that's all working, we can close that down. We want to go into these image definitions, and it's the same sort of process that we need to add an image definition. Now, we only need two images. The one here, this is the black background, so we don't need to display anything if the indicator is 0, if it's not there. So we need to create one for grey, and we need to put in the variable here that tells us whether it's going to be grey or not. So again, we're inserting that sim variable, filter it down for the PFD. I'm looking for soft key 2, which again still isn't there, so I use soft key 3, and it's this indicator that I'm after. So we'll right click on that, paste that in, and that should be a 2 there, not a 3. And it should appear if the value is 1. That's what should make the grey icon appear. And then down here, I need to actually turn off stretch to fit, and that's quite important you do that, and upload the image. So I've got, there's my grey PNG, that's in there, and click on save, and you can see now it's gone grey. And I'm just going to submit just to be absolutely sure. And now what we do is we'll create another image, and this one will be green. It automatically puts it on a different layer, so let's put it on layer 1. The visibility variable is as we've had it before, so it's a local variable looking at soft key 2, and this time it's looking to see if the visibility value is 2. And we're all down here. Stretch to fit is still off, so make sure that's off, and we'll upload the green image to here, and we'll save that. So what I should be able to do now is press this button, and that should activate it, and that's become green. To deactivate it at the moment, I have to press on this map off button and bring that back in, and you can see the indicator's gone off. So that's it. We've got everything's now working on that button there. we can control the text color, we can read the text, and we control the indicator whether it's there or not and what color it should be. So the next trick is to copy that and paste it into all the other buttons, and it's a bit of a dull job going through the edits, but we just work our way down here. So this one here now, do the green one, it's soft key 1, and we'll save that. And the grey definition is soft key 1. Save that. In the text definition again, we're going to go through both the label and we're looking for that text variable. And it hasn't appeared, so oops, I'm in the wrong one. There we go. Text one, text label. It's the same layout and it does become a bit confusing at times. So it seems to be you have to select it. So that's one, and we'll save that update, and now we'll go back and do the label version and how that's appeared. It seems to be one of the little bugs that's in Axis and O's, that it doesn't always come up. Save that, and of course you want it to act as button 1, so it's soft key 1, and this one is the submit version. And then just work your way across doing that. Paste in, make sure you click in the right button. I've made that mistake a few times, and just work your way down. So it's worth making the change here so you know you're working for definite on the green, and this is number 3. Save that. The grey version 3. Working the text definitions now. So do the disabled one first, and just every time you spot a 2 here, make it a 3. Make sure in the text definition we are. Now we'll do the label version. And then the last one is the button bit at the bottom. Make sure it's number 3 for the input event. Submit it, and that's that button done. Oh, interesting. There we are, that's working. Okay, and that's it. So you just got to go through and do the other buttons. What I do is, if I go back to my finished PFD one, I've put here the direct to and menu. I put those buttons there onto here as input events, so they're relatively obvious what's on there. And this is the old way of doing it. What I would do now is I would actually change these to be input events, because you've got those available as well. If I bring that X's and O's back in, you've got these sim events on the PFD. and there's the input event direct to. So I wouldn't do it this way anymore. I would make it an input event and choose it from here, just to be future proof, because I think that's where things are heading, and access to the B variables might become more limited later. Okay, that's it. So I'll see you in the next video. I'm not sure what I'm going to make next, but I hope that's been helpful to you.